Little inappropriate confidence on my timing with the intro thing. I thought I hit it perfectly. Then I just basically missed hitting it.
You're still good, though.
But it still worked.
Yeah. Welcome to Jazz Cabbage Cafe, everyone.
Yeah, Rick and I are here to get it going, although there'll probably be a few people joining us throughout. And a lot of events that took place that are going to take place. Some updates on some stuff we've been talking about. Some good guests coming through. We can recognize our great sponsors and then start getting into it.
Jazz Cabbage Cafe, you know who they are. We're sponsored by Stone Depot, Redemption Cannabis, Real Leaf Solutions, the Detroit Nutrient Company, GrowGreenMI.com, Custom 420 promos with that cultureclothing.club.
All right. So a Facebook user, I think, was responding to my issue with the intro, recognizing that it's not that big of a deal.
Maybe it's someone from your past that's just,
good
commenting on your love-making ability.
Yeah, saw my penis and is now using this time and platform to be able to describe it. Yep. And he also says, "Hi, guys."
Well, all right, then that kind of shoots my theory. Okay.
Deb says, "Any idea what the CRA meeting is tomorrow?" Yeah, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
As good as thing as any to begin talking about. It is tomorrow. We have brought up some of the topics of discussion that they have suggested. But Rick, if you don't mind, give a little update on what's happening tomorrow. The topics of discussion that they put out and what might happen.
Now, the CRA conducts quarterly meetings, which is an opportunity for everyone to give praise or criticism for the way that the Cannabis Regulatory Agency operates. And in the past, they haven't actually had an agenda. However, last couple of times they have focused on specific issues. This focuses on a couple of different things. First of all, should we put a moratorium on issuing new cultivation licenses, which is a really big subject? Second of all, should we refuse to reissue or just eliminate the excess grower license, which is itself a pretty big issue since there's over 100 of those excess grower licenses issued in the state. And the third is whether or not we should allow businesses, or business owners rather, to own more than one cultivation center or more than one micro business, which is an intriguing question itself. So unfortunately, they only give you about 3 minutes to actually speak, 3 to 4 minutes. So you have to be concise when you have all those subjects to discuss at your presentation time.
It can be done in person, or they usually, or last couple times anyway, have allowed people to kind of zoom in and leave a statement or ask a question.
There is a Zoom link for this one also.
Yep. Okay. And you're not limited to those discussion items. You can discuss or leave a statement about whatever aspect of something related to what the department, the topic, concerning the department could be.
Yep.
So
whether it's Viridis or whether you just want to say thanks to Director Brisboe on his way out the door headed to building codes, or you're going to discuss the future of the industry, it's kind of cool. Most oftentimes government doesn't give you an opportunity to just stand up there and let it.
John's asking if we can post the Zoom link. I think that's probably possible. I'll have to kind of look for it.
Yeah, I got you. I'll do it.
All right. Red Setter came on here.
Ooh.
And go ahead.
I can post in, I'll send it to you, Jamie, and then you can put it in that scrolling banner at the bottom. That'll work out.
Okay. I'll put it in comments too, so people could have it just to click on if they want.
I only ever seem to be able to just locate our private comments. I can't actually contribute to the dialogue that's going on online, which kind of bums me.
Huh. Well, that's silly.
It is, which is why it bugs me. And it's probably just something I'm not doing correctly, which bugs me even more. So, yep, the CRA, it's an important meeting. In the past, they talked about things like conversion oil, and from some of the dialogue that they received regarding conversion oil, that whole process was stopped.
Mandating pre-packaging.
Correct. Yep. We love our raw bud, our deli-style cannabis here in the state of Michigan, and that was a very important discussion. So,
and in that case, and it probably has been in other cases too, but for sure, the process that Director Brisboe used was to take a tally of what people were saying on this issue, and I don't know what it what it leads to, if it's really a close count, or if like the thing that they're talking about has enough support. Maybe the next discussion on it or whatever. But in terms of that deli style discussion, I want to say, I forgot the numbers, but it was something like 35 against mandated prepackaging, and 5 were kind of for it. So that was a factor in whether or not they kind of proceed with that issue. So calling up and getting on record with your view, could be meaningful for those.
It sure is. Yep. I'm
And
just
of course,
driving that lake right now. Yeah.
He's Director Brisboe is moving over to another department in just 4 days, literally. So he won't be around, but that policy by the people who take over for him hopefully is something similar to that, because I thought that was kind of cool. What's your opinion on moratorium? I guess I'm not going to take a big position either way, but my opinion is that it'll probably happen with a carve out for social equity participants.
Yeah. The concept of a free and open market was what we embraced. Jamie and Robin and Matt Abel, the actual authors of the cannabis legalization law in 2018, and people like myself just on the outside skirt edges trying to contribute. When we crafted the law, that's a free and open market is what we wanted. What's turned out, though, is to be something that I don't think any of us intended, which was a hostile environment that makes it almost impossible for people to be successful, especially the people that we wanted to be the most successful, which were the small business owners and folks that had put their time in the legacy market that we hope to be able to transfer over to the regulated market, which just hasn't been as successful as we had hoped. I believe it's fair to say.
What time does that public meeting start tomorrow?
9:30 a.m. I received a notice from the Michigan Cannabis Industry Association reminding me of the importance of this meeting. So clearly the folks who are on the front lines of the legislative and administrative fixes being proposed for this law, they believe it's important enough to send a note out to get people to show. So this will be an important meeting. And hi, Trish. Good to see you.
Yes. Hi, Trish. You're welcome to join us, of course. As always.
Deb says, as a cannabis consumer, love this market, which means the lower prices that the competitiveness brings. As a cannabis employee, not a fan. Yeah, it does. It does really lend itself to not having any job security. And unfortunately, good people that deserve to win sometimes get squeezed out, not from their own doing, but just because of market circumstance.
Well, we did a special on workers' rights not too long ago, and probably another one is due. There's been some developments and some other things to discuss, and some other people that have some pertinent information to offer. But it is a weird time, and there's a lot of considerations. And as an employee, there's some good information to know.
Well, as an employee in the industry generally, on a national basis, we're seeing exactly the same thing that's happening here in Michigan. We're seeing industry retract. Folks that had invested literally millions and millions of dollars are now trying to decide whether or not they can even keep the doors open. And that's a volatile time for anybody that's employed. So whether you're in Massachusetts or Oregon or even the new Illinois market, this information is valuable for you to have as well.
So Red Setter's talking about it looks like a cultivation place that is on a main highway in a town, but they won't allow for the micro business license there. They've only approved certain licenses probably. And that micro business opportunity has been looked down upon by many localities for some reason. It's been worked against by some of the bigger money interests because they view it as competition, and anything they can keep from being realized or an opportunity from really being available to people, they are fine with that because that's less competition in their mind.
I think that's true.
Yeah, but they have popped up, a few of them. The one, and we've talked to Winewood Organic on here.
They're fun,
and they've got a good working system. It's not common, but that's a good example.
Yeah,
of those things. But that if you're in a local township or a village, the MRTMA affords a unique opportunity after you've exhausted. I mean, you don't have to do this, but after you've exhausted, trying to directly engage the local decision makers and get them to do something that makes sense, you can force the question to ballot. And if you believe you've got support from the community at large, you can opt in on licenses and how many, and get it going.
Of course, it's too late this year for you to be able to qualify for the November ballot.
No, you won't get on November. No.
But there are several elections scheduled for 2023, including an early election, which usually takes place in either March or April, and then also the primary elections.
And he meant that they're doing some caregiver stuff, but it's like it's not a commercial world at all in their town, wherever they are.
They create a hardship.
Yeah, same discussion though. If you really want to work it, there are some things that are possible, but there are things you can try. There aren't things that guarantee success, especially if you want a particular location. That's another difficult one on top of it all.
Yep. One of the toughest things we learned early on in the cannabis industry, 2012, was that no matter how badly you want to have a cannabis operation on your property, if your local administrators don't want you to have one there, they have a great ability to stop you from being successful. And even if you were to realize that dream, even if you were to get a cannabis business up and operating on a piece of property, having the support of your locals is the only way to make sure that you get long-term success, because if they're constantly screwing with you, look what happened in Lapeer with Jamie Fricke. I mean, constantly screwing with her over and over and over to the point where she had to go outside of the community in order to be successful with her cannabis businesses. Just terrible. And unfortunately, that's more common than we all realize.
I was kind of hoping that Adam would come on here because he was at one of the events that I attended this weekend. It's the Big Cloud Productions. We've had Rick Anstis on here before discussing those, and he was, of course, formerly with Rainbow Farms that does events also. But these Big Cloud events have been gaining a lot of recognition and earning a good reputation. And I went to one. They reached out and really took care of me really well. And when I went out there for all Friday and part of Saturday, got some great cannabis from some great growers. Michigan Turf Farms, where a lot of us are familiar with, and Baked Taters and Red Setter Farms themselves. And just it was, in my opinion, what normal should look like ultimately. It was just really cool. Obviously, everything was contained. There's a lot of fun going on without a lot of issues, and it's just always very notable. Didn't see, there might have been some people drinking here or there. I don't know. I don't think there was stuff served, and there was no evidence of any issues or whatever. It seemed like it was all just plant medicine and music and people hanging out and having a good time. And I would like to see that be able to be achieved and just be accepted, and what we can just do anywhere, anytime in the future. Really enjoyed it.
Adam was a part of Rainbow Farm in the past, which, if you're familiar with Michigan's history, was, sort of the ideal circumstance for cannabis culture here in the state until, the Michigan State Police killed Tom and Raleigh. And Adam tells me from his base of experience, this is the closest to Rainbow Farm he's ever seen, Big Cloud cannabis events. So that's from that man. That's a huge compliment. Huge.
The Hash Bash Cup and this event are being discussed in the same breath as like the best cannabis events. They had some good music too. Cottonmouth Kings was the headliner on Saturday night. A lot of other really good acts and just great vendors too. A lot of them with so much great things in a small area. It was just a good time. I appreciated it.
And no police involvement, no need for cops, no hassles, no worries. Everybody's good. It's the way it's supposed to be.
No, they have a great location. They've got people running it, a big team of people running it, and learning from each event, understanding what they're doing. Just keeping it all together and creating a really nice time for everybody. I mean, it's really commendable. I mean, I've done lots of events, been involved with them, and this one deserves some praise. And of course, Adam is, the event king, and he's seeing what's really cool about these things. And of course, they treat him really well. when he's there, and he likes that quite a bit too. But
well, who wouldn't?
Yeah.
Who wouldn't?
But,
and Adam,
no,
of
but
course, recovering from back surgery, significant surgery. So
yeah,
being treated a little bit extra nice is kind of just par for the course when you've got somebody who just recovered like that.
Yeah, and he's doing better. So anyway, I just I had a great time. But then after that, I went to well, actually, exactly what I did was I went to Ann Arbor to pick up the great Laith El-Sadi, who's a prodigal musician, Michigan's native son, nationally, internationally recognized for how awesome he is. He was on The Voice. That's I mean, that got him some notoriety and stuff like that. But this has been his career and his life, and certainly people around here know who he is. And I picked him up and took him up to the Juke Joint Jamboree, which was a fundraiser for Redemption Foundation, and the Liskies with Local Roots and Ryan Redemption and Company put together this great blues event as a fundraiser for the Redemption Foundation. And the Redemption Foundation feeds so the Redemption Cannabis Company. I'm going to pull up a picture for it. The Redemption Cannabis Company, high quality cannabis, really good prices, line of all types of stuff, flower and concentrates and all that kind of stuff. Gives a lot of money, or that gives 10% of those proceeds to the Redemption Foundation. Redemption Foundation in turn helps out a lot of great organizations and efforts that in turn help a lot of people recover from being severely compromised from the war on drugs. And over $23,000 were raised. And I know an organization that I'm on the board with, the Great Lakes Expungement Network, will benefit a little bit from that. And many other great things like helping get people out of jail, helping support them while they're in there, helping them with reentry. The list goes on of the things that Redemption Foundation is involved with, helping out veterans most recently.
Jamie and I are both on the board of the Redemption Foundation as well. So
yeah, on the advisory board, and proud of it. They do a lot of great work. And we have just been joined by Marc and Toni Shananaquet.
Hi, guys.
Cultivations and a lot of stuff.
That's a cool space you're broadcasting from. Look at that.
Yeah, man. This is from Chase Grant's studio. What's the name of his?
Clyde's.
Clyde's?
Yeah.
Very cool. And Jim Salame, not around for a while, but he actually has something to say today, so he decided to grace us with his presence.
Yeah.
Hey, Jim.
Entheofest is this weekend. Jim should certainly be on here talking about Entheofest.
We're going to talk about that in a minute. We're going to have also some other people, I think, maybe pop on too, who are excited about this upcoming weekend. But Marc and Toni, you guys were at the Big Cloud production of the Organic Cup in Jones.
Yeah, just unbelievable.
Talking about it, but give us your thoughts on that.
Well, we just didn't have much time to spend with Jamie because there was just 200 vendors to look through and just, I needed to bring more money. I mean, there were people that sold out and just having just big turkey bags full of beautiful buds that, were cared for and tended to and, by caregivers. And it was just amazing. It was an amazing event.
It was.
My Cannabis guys got up and Groovy did some saxophone playing. It was pretty sweet.
He is a really good musician.
Yeah,
man.
for real.
Cool to see. He also had some keyboards going on too, and he was improvising with some beats, and it was fun to check out.
Yeah, definitely. He did a shout out to Native Cultivations when we came up there. He's like,
nice.
Yeah, it was cool.
It was very
cool. It was good to see everybody.
Yep, Canada was hanging out with them, supporting them too. And
part of our podcast family that we have here in Michigan. Yep.
Medical Mondays was set up there, and the Roach was talking to people as they're coming into the event. It was kind of fun.
That was the best place to stop right when you get into the event. I felt.
Yeah. There were some really good vendors right there
Some
too.
chocolate.
Native Made 313 was there, and Michigan Turf Farmers was there, and Baked Tater was there, and SOS was there. People running the SOS booth were really cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was just a fun time with really cool people, and great cannabis around.
A lot of cannabis
lots
around.
of diverse, great cannabis around, and very cool.
I think that there was just almost as many people there as there were at Hash Bash. Just and what's really great about it is that the vendors are all set up. Yeah, you can get lots of vendors, but what matters is, do you get people to come to the vendors? That's the most important thing. So when you're consistent like that and you keep building and building, people know there's going to be something happening there, and they're excited to go, and they make it a part of their annual festival trips. And
you got a lot of things that come together that allow an event like that to happen, and it is something to be, appreciative of. I'm sorry, I said the wrong thing. It's SOB. I think I might have said SOS, but it was SOB, which makes more sense.
Okay.
They're great people too.
Very cool. The people that had run the booth up front, they were really cool. On the side rights to come into that little area behind there.
I liked every part of it too. I think the setup could have been a little different, so all the vendors could saw the stage. I think that would have been great, but it was an overall good time for sure.
I loved the stage.
Yeah, that worked out well too. There's a lot of stuff going on.
I want to have a stage like that at our event. So
right
when we do the 420 red carpet event there, Jamie, we're working on it together.
Tony's recruiting me to work on an event up north for
a
licensed cannabis event, and it sounds like fun so far. So
yeah, I've applied for the permits to close the town down, and have a little parade that goes.
They normally do all those things when I show up anyway. So
close it down.
Is that what you're thinking of, Peshweba Town?
No.
Nope. I'm thinking of Kalkaska.
All right.
Great Harley.
And I've already
supervisor there.
One that's been in there to reserve that date. So 420.
Harley Sherman. Right?
If it's approved, that's my date.
Kalkaska 420. Be there.
Yeah.
Be there.
Like I've been involved in reserving spaces and working with townships like that, because I did Kids Fishing Day for Elk Rapids since 2010. So I knew I needed to get right in with those guys first. And Harley came over to Pond Jam, and he's like, yeah. And I said, hey, do you know? And so we just really got to talking about it.
He's a very cool dude, and of course is like
very cool.
A leader in Kalkaska as village president.
Yeah.
And just has really embraced this issue and had some great conversations. He was on the show, and we talked about how he interviews the police officers that come to get hired in the local department in part funded by the tax revenue created by having so many unit shares by the stores they allowed.
Yeah. He's now in charge of the Trout Festival as well,
which is a huge draw to that area every year too. And it's kind of a year-round recreational area. There's snowmobiling and other stuff like that in the wintertime, and obviously fishing and all that kind of stuff too in the summer.
Yeah.
Cool place. About 20 minutes or so from Traverse City. And
Yep.
Yeah, we used to see her all the time when we talked about legalization. Don't even bother collecting signatures in the upper part of the lower, because nobody up there is going to support. It's going to have a difficult time. That's been exactly the opposite, my experience. We have just a ton of support in northern lower and the upper peninsula too, which we were also told would be a desolate area that we would have no success in. So,
well, the opt-in and opt-out fiasco has caused us to not be able to have some townships involved in recreational, and
it's such a weird thing.
And so we're all caught up in the BS of it.
Yeah, it is. Berg is checking in. So, I mean, we've been, Anton's not here. Maybe we will do a little update on the veterans thing. Not a lot more to report, but it seems like it's continuing in a direction of getting information out there and people recognizing that funds might be misappropriated and seeing if there's something that can be done about it. But the department's made some weird decisions over the years, some good ones and some weird ones. And the opt-out thing, I still view as a very weird one. the language like doesn't say that the township or city has to opt out to avoid businesses from coming in. It essentially was intended to be set up so that as long as the locality did not create an ordinance, and there was no mechanism by which a place could go in there and open up. So it's just really weird how that came to be, and it was stupid. I mean, it caused a lot of extra issues, and you see these headlines sometimes. Now 1,000 places have opted out, or it makes it sound like people are rejecting, the cannabis stuff, and it was just weird. I thought the excess grow ability. I mean, yes, the State Department can make new licenses and do new things to help out things where needed, like with inventory and so forth. But that one had very specific limitations and timeframes on it. It was designed.
We put it
very
in
purposefully to be limited.
Mm-hmm.
And it was obvious by the way that until 2023, it's one of the things that's going to be talked about tomorrow. And the answer is cat's already out of the bag, and there's not much that can be done about it. The first time it could be fixed would be the beginning of 2023, when the cap for licenses gets taken off anyway. So people can still get several huge licenses if they want.
Yeah, they're going to roll those excess grower licenses over into just a regular Class E licensure. So
yeah.
Why would anybody that does what we went over the weekend and did, why would they want to get a license?
Stay out of jail.
Yeah, I mean that there's a lot of things that come together that allow that to happen, and I think people appreciate that, and they work in a very specific way to kind of try to keep it going. But there could be a time when those things get looked at a little bit. The other thing is the commercial system might end up eventually being simple, easy, functional, efficient, reasonable enough
to be able to do that.
Go do it. Yeah.
Where you can't distinguish between the two. That would be
right.
That'd be perfect. We don't need a lot of overregulation, which we're already experiencing.
That could have been a farmer's market with 100 different farms showing up with different selections of vegetables, and that's already good to go. So
that'd be great.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. In class at LSSU, I attend the cannabis business classes up there. It's taught just, black and white. This is what is good. This is what is bad. And then, you got to watch for later, though, because that might change. That's just how it's taught. So,
yeah. And in the beginning, when medical was being implemented, there was severe swings and policy changes, that happened regularly, that people lost a lot of money on or went in the wrong direction on, and had to switch up gears and pivot, as they say a lot in the meetings.
So you see a lot of the people that came to Hash Bash and all the people that came over to this last one that we did over the weekend. Yeah.
Baked Tater says they don't want to participate in the licensed market, at least the way it is.
And they've got shit that if it was on the, at a reasonable price, something like Redemption, and it was in the commercial market, there would be lines out the door to get to this stuff. It'd be unique compared to what's commonly found in the commercial system.
Yeah, so they start attacking the caregiver products, saying that, they're not tested and all these other reasons. But the real reason is that this other market kicks ass compared to the legal market.
What we're seeing in other states right now, baked taters, that's very nice. One bump. Are you a one bump or a two bump potato? I guess.
On the other side, it has one of the bump.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. So okay, one bump.
That's an eye. Don't get too excited.
But what we're seeing in other states too. For example, let's talk about Oregon, where you had a huge market that was existent, and now it's starting to shrink. So they say regulated market sales are down like 8%. Okay, but that doesn't mean people are buying 8% less cannabis. No, they're just switching from their sourcing. The whole deal about the regulated market and unregulated market is all about what's my source, not how much money am I going to spend or anything else too. It's about where am I going to get it from. And if we lose confidence in the regulated market, we can easily just switch back over to the way things used to be. Or
historical perspective includes.
Yeah. I mean, look at all the branding that came out there. All the specific branding from all these different. Oh my gosh, these are like collectibles for
Michigan
real.
Turf
When you
Farms
go to
did a
these
great job.
events,
They're
buy
recognizable.
these products. Oh, get that swag. I mean, because I just feel like it's going to be super collectible.
I had a guy who used to love to collect the old advanced nutrients bottles, one of each kind, because they had such cool labels on them. They were all drawn, and they had, pictures of Gaia, the Earth Mother, and stuff like that. They were really pieces of art. And we see that outside of the regulated market and in the traditional cannabis market, because the regulated market, of course, has rules about using things that might appeal to children.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, so they're going to be collectible, because that's what we did in labeling in our class, was absolutely no cartoon characters and nothing that's appealing.
This whole structure is being done without formal regulations being imposed on it, and it runs really smoothly. I mean, I'm sure people have some issues here and there, and there's probably some tensions. There's probably normal human shit that goes on, but
man, Adam was out there riding around in a cart.
Good. Yeah,
Adam.
I like that you can
Adam ran into shit he was talking about last night.
I like that you can still dicker on the products. You know what I mean? There was no set price, or there was a set price, but you say, hey, let's bundle some stuff in here and get a better deal, and that could happen.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I'd love to see changes. The harvest dates, or at least there has to be an expiration on this. I shouldn't be able to walk into a dispensary and buy some flower that was harvested last year in June.
Mm-hmm.
So what they do with that now is some places anyway will discount the prices on that as it gets older. I'm not sure when, starting at 6 months maybe or whatever, but they start discounting the price on it.
That's what the legacy market does when we have cannabis that's hanging around that you can't get rid of.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, backpacks only got so much space.
I just want to throw that out about the historical perspective, just to reiterate, this type of activity has taken place for a long time. It's taken place through all the law changes. Will take place no matter what happens with the specific, commercial laws or individual rights or anything like that. It comes with the territory on some level or another. I like it right now because I think it's helping to push the envelope, a little bit. But people shouldn't worry about it. Should understand that it exists and will exist, and then keep moving on with whatever aspect you're involved in this.
The reality is that the government has created a problem within the regulated marketplace. It's not the unregulated marketplace that creates problems for the regulated. It's themselves. They overissue cultivation licenses. They have so much regulated cannabis floating around on the market. Talked to some guy earlier today who talked about unregulated cannabis being shuttled in through regulated market sources.
The boogeyman.
Yes, but we don't even need that as a reason to look at and say things are messed up. They doubled the number of cultivation licenses. We have very few cities coming online, but we have a hell of a lot more cannabis in the pipeline waiting to come out. The regulated market's created its own problems for itself. You certainly can't blame caregivers or the people in the unregulated marketplace for the problems that exist now.
Yeah, if you go in and you're working in a provisioning center, you have to be on cue with metric. I mean, you have to be really on top of that. And there's so many rules to follow. You have to check it out of the safe and put it on the floor and then put it back from the floor into the safe. Well, what's the point?
And you've worked a little bit at the store, and you guys have kids that are in the industry.
Yeah, Selena built up Grassy Knoll.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
Well, remember that when they crafted these laws, they a lot of times treated cannabis as if it was plutonium. So, I mean, it's the library book on steroids, right? You have to check it out when you leave the bookshelf. You have to check it out when you get back to your table. You have to check it out when you flip open the first page, and you have to check it out again when you get ready to leave. It's excessive.
Yeah.
We've been hoping to impress upon the big money interests, and Robin and MICAA really kind of driving these conversations when they have a chance. And that is, take this time and resources going toward trying to hurt these other systems or peeling back, existing rights or something, and try to make the existing commercial system more efficient and less restrictive, and the regulations make more sense. And
CRA was at the Muskegon festival, and they went through each booth. Every store had to create a new store and place it in that facility, and then they had to have what do you call it when they make a transportation plans? It's
the manifest.
A manifest. They had to do a manifest like for every single thing that was going from their store to this downtown.
Mm-hmm.
Super complicated. And then they had to have the stickers on there for the warnings for women not to use this product if they're pregnant.
I hate that. I hate that one. You know, that should just say, if it even needs to be there, it should just say, if you're pregnant or thinking of getting pregnant, consult your doctor. That's essentially what's on an aspirin bottle. Instead, it's
really common sense, though.
Yeah. Instead, it makes it sound like you're risking like having like having really horrible complications. You know, it's horrible how it's written. Just ridiculous.
Yeah. But they couldn't. There was one that couldn't sell until they got those stickers. And so somebody on here just said that there's no enforcement with Metric, and they were down there on it. See, there's no enforcement on Metric. It goes
they could be meaning at large, because there are stories too of large amounts in the saturated market that have been produced in the commercial system, somehow leaving the system and making it out to the open market. And I've heard that. I don't know exactly how it happens, who does it, mate. I don't have, but I have certainly heard that.
I have not.
That helps to saturate the entire system at that point and makes it difficult for everybody. But I can't confirm. I've just heard it enough times now that it seems like something's there.
Yeah. I'll tell you this. I sat in on the CRA's enforcement webinar last Wednesday, a week from tomorrow. And the CRA enforcement person, as a response to a question about Metric, said, call Metric. You know, whenever there's a concern about how things are going, or is it right or wrong, or how do I enter this, they defer to Metric. So that's an unregulated source of advice for how things are going.
Wow, it must just be Selena, because she is she's right on with communicating with CRA and just making it. Yeah. Okay.
There's people there that'll help through the process too.
You bet.
They're good about it.
Depends on what the question is too.
Yeah, true enough.
Yeah.
How do I reduce a batch size? How do I do these things? Might be Metric questions. Whether do I have to put a tag on this particular type of plant? Might be something a CRA handles. So, but that is the thing is with the track and trace system that we have here, seed to sale, track and trace, whatever you want to call it. It is very complicated, and it requires a financial investment. It requires compliance directors and training, and it is one of the things that makes it more difficult for a regulated market player to be successful, because you screw that up and you could potentially face fines or have product that's not available for sale for a while, which in this tough market,
get a bad reputation, and then that lasts forever.
I'll tell you what's kind of funny is in the original dispensary language, the original dispensary language, it's
2014.
We'd have to go back to talk about. Testing was allowed, but wasn't mandated, and there was no statewide tracking. If you're a patient, the onus is on you to not have more than 2.5 ounces on you while you're walking around. That's how we looked at it.
And that was through the MMA.
That was not in the MMA. This was language that we wrote to accompany ultimately the MMA to extend that program into the commercial. They have stores and stuff like that. But we wanted
one vote away from being law.
Yeah, we wanted
almost
the caregivers to mainly provide the inventory, which I wish they still were contributory to that. And by the last version, there were some like larger commercial grows allowed, but it was the caregivers that were primarily creating the inventory. That's why it was kind of ironic that Emergency Rule 19 essentially did what we were trying to put in, and then what we demonstrated had worked already for years in the first place, as a way to try to salvage their kind of more restricted, prohibitive, overly regulated, costly, convoluted.
It almost feels like it went in from one I forgot the word again, where you can't do something.
Manifest? Oh.
No, where you can't do something, it's abolished, prohibited. Yeah, going from one prohibition to another. That's it.
The big money interests had it in their minds that they would control this, and similar to like the very few that were able to like distribute alcohol after alcohol prohibition was lifted. And so some screwy things involved in that commercial system that were designed to be exclusionary, kind of just only to certain people. It kind of turned out a little bit different. But so when I was talking about the testing thing, Harold White says, well, so no contaminant testing. No.
Right.
And in fact, we talked about, I'm sorry, I went to the next one by accident, but we talked about already on this show and with some of the labs, how, well, at least with microbial as being a contaminant, that you simply post the results and don't really make it a pass or fail. It's got this many parts per this many parts, whatever the standard is decided to be, and somebody can decide to get it or not, is one thing. When it comes to the other contaminants, the answer is yes. We wouldn't be mandated, but testing would be available. So those places that offer testing might be more appealing to the marketplace at large, because consumers would want to show up and have some kind of idea that the product's been screened for stuff and feel comfortable with it. So that's how we looked at it, is that the market factors, forces would drive the places to have testing.
Or not. Because let's face it, there's been millions and millions of pounds of cannabis sold in Michigan on the unregulated market that's never been tested. Mm-hmm. We don't know what the THC percentage is, and nobody cares. Yeah. We judge it with our nose, we judge it with our eyes, we judge it with the way that it smokes. So
then you use it, and then you really know.
Yeah. So there's a market segment that really is not impressed and doesn't care about the testing thing. So I know that people in the regulated market believe testing is the holy grail of proof that it's safe, but I defy them to produce proof that it's not safe.
And they also care about the THC number. And a lot of them even know that doesn't mean anything, but they still care about it because they see the market demanding it and caring about it. And I get the feeling like there are times when there are people in the the commercial system, professionals working with each other's buyers and sellers, and these types of relationships where they both know it's a bunch of bullshit, but they're both talking to each other. Oh, sativa and indica and 25% THC and all this kind of stuff. But they both know it's bullshit, but they're both talking to each other like this because that's the language that's been, established and is accepted right now. It's very difficult to change this.
Consumers rule, and that is the language of the consumer. So it's going to take a societal change for us to drop things like an easy way to gauge my cannabis' strength versus your cannabis' strength by using a THC number. It's going to take a while to deprogram people for that.
It will, but education and the people that really know cannabis, hopefully they're spreading that information too.
Because I know who I'm getting my cannabis from.
Yeah, we're trying to encourage people to get the discussion going for a long time, and that's how you could eventually, get there. And
there was a competition in California that Adam Brook talked about here a couple shows ago, where there was no THC number mentioned. It was just about terps, and the Emerald Cup, I believe.
Emerald Cup,
totally
that's the most prestigious cup that there is.
They totally de-emphasized this bullshit THC number, and I was so proud of them for that.
Yep, they emphasize sativa, indica labels as being predictors for effect, and not really emphasize how much remember, if the THC number is bigger. If this 40% thing turns out to be true, I'm not talking about the loom thing. I'm talking about another thing, although I have not heard follow-up on it. So I'm now skeptical that it was true. Skeptical anyway, of course, by the number. But if there really is like 40% THC or something that you can, eventually breed to do that, that means that a lot of other stuff is not there because it's taking up all that space. And we're recognizing that we like all that other stuff. And that when all that works together and there's some THC there, you can get a good response and get euphoria and, have the time that you expect out of some cannabis. So
the full entourage effect.
I was in a meeting earlier today, and I guess Anton didn't make it on, or maybe he still will, but I was in a meeting today about the veteran, funding issue, and just listening to some of the study concepts that were submitted. And there's so much concern over THC. It's all based around that ultimately in some way or another. And it's just, I guess they got to start someplace, but man, there's a lot of resources going into like checking stuff out using an assumption about THC that there's really no good reason to believe.
Yeah.
So, but that's the way it is right now.
Like one of the viewers wrote, you can't regulate something you don't understand. And that's basically it. People are trying to regulate this, and we need more experts from the industry represented at that table, because it's never really been overly represented by industry people.
So Baked Tater says I meant backdooring in and out. I think that's another kind of a site that you're responding to right now.
He went there. He went to the dark one. Jamie. All right.
There you go.
That's how you get viewership. Okay, so
but I think he means what I was talking about, where people were getting excess out on the street that was once in the metric system. I don't know who's doing it, or I've not confirmed that it happens. I've just heard about it so much.
Yeah. But again,
the way I see it with when I was trained at Grassy Knoll, the metric was so much of a part of it, and it's. I don't know what you guys are talking about when it comes to that. So can you speak on it more?
I'd like to hear from somebody who has, witnessed it or really could confirm what goes on and how, at least plausibly describe how it might work or something like that.
I mean, you can understand where there's an incentive for someone who might buy a bunch of cannabis on the illegal market for, pennies on the dollar, and they would enter that into the metric system as perhaps some of the proceeds of the cultivation of the cannabis that they have in their vertically integrated system. And by that way, they would not have to spend all the hundreds and thousands of dollars it takes to grow a pound of cannabis in the system. They would actually be substituting low-cost cannabis instead, and that would give a much higher profit margin on that particular cannabis if it's sold. There's just so many different ways that people have talked about cannabis coming into the system. But typically it's that way. It's at harvest when it's kind of a squishy time when you cut a plant. Did you get 4 pounds? Did you get 6 pounds? Did you get 2 pounds? That's an opportunity at that point for some of that to be entered in. However, the system is so rigid though. You have to weigh the plants when they're cut down, and you have to report this and to report estimated water weight loss. It's really set up to stop what we call diversion, which is that we just described, that bringing of cannabis in or taking of cannabis out of the system and then shuttling it off to unregulated market sources. It just seems to me like the consequence for getting caught doing that is just so catastrophic. You'd lose your license, and that's a millions and millions and millions of dollars investment. I just don't see why people would.
I could see why they would, if they could do it, why they would, or
Yeah, me too. Nowadays, it's very hard to survive. So
how does that happen?
any little edge might give you the ability to stay afloat as opposed to having to close your doors. So when times are tough, the incentive to cheat is harder than ever.
We harvested for Wheelhouse last year, and we're getting ready to go do a defoliation for them. Native Cultivations has a bucking and trimming crew, and so we Croptober we're completely booked. And so when we did it last year, though, we couldn't even keep any of the stalks, and these stalks were so big. It was a sativa strain. Do you remember what it was?
No, I don't.
But they were like 14
very
feet
tall and all that kind of stuff.
But they were nice, big, round stalks, and I just couldn't believe that they had to destroy those. And, in this defoliation that we do, we have to weigh every single thing.
I'll tell you,
compliance company.
I know people that would pay for those stalks just to make walking canes out of them, to make other wooden items.
Ron Langworthy does some of that stuff, I think.
I remember Steve Sharp for a long time back in the
day.
Back
fiber.
Had a walking stick out of a hemp stalk that was always very impressive. It just seems like there's so much waste. And Legally Nifty, by the way, said the weight of the plant is one of the easiest ways to manipulate how to change things like that, or how to perhaps enter foreign matter into the regulated system. So clearly, there's ways that if you're looking to cheat, there's ways to find ways to cheat.
Is that why? What is the purpose for having to destroy that stuff?
That's just generally waste. They want to just consider all waste as one particular problem with one particular solution. I think if they sat and thought about it, and if they had time to formulate different rules, they might make exceptions for certain part of the waste that might otherwise go to value. I know
as hemp farmers, we use that.
They created that compost ability.
Livestock feed.
That's true. Yeah, lots of ways we could use it. I know
There's
people,
a farm in Michigan that does that, like a legacy type scenario.
I've seen people talk about
Yeah.
taking cannabis leaves and turn them into rolling papers, and that's possible if at
Tea.
harvest you have a bunch of sugar leaves that you can do that for. So that would be a little boost to the bang, you know.
Yeah,
Roll your
restaurants
cannabis
are
leaves.
asking for the CBD leaves,
Yeah.
the leaves that we grow on our hemp plants. Restaurants are asking for those.
Well,
And would that be for
the cannabis
decoration or
ones wouldn't
dishes?
have any THC in them either.
Yeah, but just for
They
decoration,
would have to be
it'd be cool.
mature, then they'd have to be heated and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know why
And
they
there's
serve
really
it
no
more
reasoning.
Have a drink with a cannabis leaf on top of it. That would be great.
They
Mhm.
shouldn't distinguish or whatever they do.
That's awesome. That's great.
All these rules.
I know.
Hey guys, I've got maybe like 10 more minutes. I have to jump off. I'm out of town right now. I've got a little something in a couple hours. I'm in Vegas actually. There's
Vegas.
We
There's
might
actually
continue the
us.
conversation, but obviously, yeah, jump into Entheofest and Marc and Toni. There's a lot of stuff going on this weekend, including second Entheofest.
I would love to be there, but I'm going to be harvesting in the UP this weekend. Yeah.
That's
It's gonna
right.
be beautiful up there too. I bet.
Yeah.
Well, just to run.
We'll
down
just take some with us.
It's the second annual Entheofest. There you go. T-shirts are out now. We got a lot of sponsors this year, and we put them all on the back.
Oh wow.
Sweet.
And you see Jazz Cabbage there too somewhere.
Good timing.
That's
Nice
awesome.
looking.
But this is to celebrate plant medicines and fungi, and also the resolution that was passed in 2020 that decriminalized in the
Decriminalized
Julie
nature.
just in time that decriminalized in 2020, and then subsequently led Ellie Savitt, the county prosecutor, to decriminalize the entire county. So there's a little bit of something right there. That's awesome. It's a 111. That looks great.
What is
We're
that little
excited
box?
about it. Julie has been taking the reins on this the last it seems like 3 weeks and just putting it all together with the speakers and with the sponsors, and all the money that we're raising is helping pay for the Entheofest, and then we're splitting it among student groups and the Michigan Psychedelic Society.
All right.
All go towards Mish's initiative to get it on the ballot in 2024. But I didn't know Julie was going to be here. I'm really glad to see you, Julie. Please
Hey, Julie.
say something.
Hi, everybody. It's so good
Julie
to see
Baron.
you all. We are looking forward to Entheofest. I want to add a couple things. I only have a couple minutes. I want to add a couple things to what these are cool. Look at these little.
Ah.
Can you eat them?
They're stickers. You know, we have
Scratch and sniff.
Entheofest is going to be. We're doing a
Yeah, I wonder how
expanded
that smells.
thing. This year, we're doing a little expanded thing, which is our community resource area. And we had a bunch of tables and stuff at the last Entheofest, but we're organizing, we're structuring so we can really offer some resources and information and support for people. And so we are going to have Michigan Dance Safe there, who's going to be offering harm reduction information and teach about drug checking, and we're going to have Great Lake Expungement Network talking about expungement help. We're going to have organizations that do psychedelic integration, giving people integration information. We have a U of M research study that people can participate in when they're there. Michigan Psychedelic Society is doing a book drawing with Reeds and Weeds. We have some really cool stuff planned for the community resource area. And of course, I'm sure, Jim, you probably already mentioned the amazing speakers. Did you talk about
We just got started when you showed up.
Just started right when you showed up. Is perfect time.
Oh,
We have
well,
amazing speakers. Are you going to announce the special speaker that you just pulled in?
yeah, well, two. I want to announce two. Well, first of all, we have like the MC and three of the speakers just sitting right here, which is amazing because Jamie and Rick are going to speak. Jim's MCing. I will be speaking. We just, with the help of Jamie, we got John Sinclair to come speak, which I'm really, really excited about. It just,
So is he?
right.
I hope he gets a great big check.
Yes.
Done.
That's right.
He's being well taken care of. Yep. He's
Yes.
trying to hook up his foundation. So,
Really large mushroom. Yes.
and he said,
Yes.
I talked to him before last year's event. and he told me that most definitely, of course, Hash Bash and what he's known for and what he's done was about cannabis, but of course in that group, in the discussions, in practice, mushrooms are a big part of everything, and he definitely supports this.
He's a legendary part of psychedelic history in Ann Arbor. Yeah. And then we got the really great honor of having the Tea Fairy come and join us. The Tea Fairy is a legendary psychedelic figure. I know her so well because she does this poem about 5-MeO-DMT, about the experience of Bufo or 5-MeO-DMT, this spoken word poem that just blows my mind. And I listen to it over and over again. And she is amazing. She's from Colorado and she's coming out to speak at our event. And I am so excited to see her. And we have an entire list of amazing speakers.
Barking Dog, Daryl Brown be back again this year, right?
Who's that?
Barking Dog, Daryl Brown?
Yes. Absolutely. Yep. They're doing a community art experience. So everybody who's there can come and participate in a painting that we're doing with Barking Dog, Daryl Brown. And he's also speaking. Yes.
Now, you have videos online of last year's speeches. So if people want to check out what Daryl said last year, which was very powerful and moving, and the ceremony surrounding his speech, because as an elder of his native group, he has to be introduced. It's quite a nice ceremony. The whole thing is good.
Yeah, it's gonna be great again this year. And there's an after party over at the Cirque, which is off of I think is it Ashley? No,
it's on First
Street. Yeah, where the Blind Pig is. So right next door, we've got WCBN and some other student groups helping organize. Like 3 different rooms of DJ and music and events. That's going to start right at 4:00. The Entheofest will end around 4:20, but 4:00 till 10, I think it's going to. But that's incredible. And then Julie, can you speak on Mudu? He is our keynote speaker this year, and he's quite a fabulous person out of Detroit.
Absolutely. So Mudu Baki is our keynote, and I'm feeling pretty honored to have him as our keynote. He is local. He's from Detroit. He led up the movement Decriminalize Nature Detroit. He is a very, very long time psychedelic advocate, activist, and just human rights activist. He has been studying about martial arts and the connection with mushrooms and entheogens and martial arts and the connection with spiritual practices throughout the world and entheogens for decades. He is brilliant. And every time I listen to him speak, I pick up a little bit more of what he's saying. A lot of it at times goes over my head, but each time I listen to him speak, I pick up something very, very valuable, and it sticks with me every time. And he spoke last year, but offering him this keynote this year, just really honoring his wisdom and his work is going to be a pretty special time for us.
Is that martial arts group that was there last year? Is he a part of that?
Yes, he is. Yeah, the Tamarian Institute. They're going to do a martial arts and entheogen demonstration. It's really, it's pretty fascinating.
That was really cool last year. I mean,
watch the video. It was amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing. They combine entheogens and martial arts in the way that they use entheogens to inform their martial arts practice and martial arts to inform their entheogen practice. And they embody animals, and you can see a lot of their physical moves are embodying animals, and it's kind of fun to be like, okay, I can really see the lion, or I can see the snake, or I can see kind of coming through. But yes, they will definitely be there.
Very cool.
Yeah, and our music performance will be done by Jesse Clayton. He's got some new styles of music that he describes as ancient and futuristic sounds. And it's a lot of synth, but it's really some profound music that I think will be perfect for the day. The Entheofest starts at 1:11 on September 18th, this Sunday.
And that's at the Diag in the University of Michigan campus in Ann Arbor, the same place Hash Bash it kicks off every year.
Exactly.
That's right.
It'll be awesome.
Well done, you guys.
Yay.
It's a lot of hard work. So awesome.
I will say too that
Way to
people
go.
watching at Entheofest is awesome because people like to wear mushroom costumes and stuff, and if they get right into it, it's kind of like a Renaissance festival for the.
It gives me ideas for our event. Oh my goodness!
Dress up as your favorite entheogen.
I like that.
The guy with the mushroom costume was the most popular selfie taking thing in the whole place. Everybody wanted their photo with that guy. So secretly, what a good plan.
Awesome. You guys, I have to go. Thank you so much for having me on. I literally cannot wait to see you all on Sunday at Entheofest. It's going to be a lovely day.
I got to jump off too. Good seeing everybody. See you
Thanks,
Sunday.
guys. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Joining Jazz Cabbage. So
He went
awesome.
upside down for a second.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It's gonna be a good time.
I was
Yes.
looking forward to
You
it.
talk about a celebration of political change and stuff like that too, but no, it was the people who talked about the spirituality of the mushrooms, of all the entheogens, the DMT especially too. That's what stuck with me is the discussion of improvement on the psyche and the whole mental change that one can go through when experiencing things like ayahuasca. Those are the things that matter to me more than the politics of the issue. So I'm looking forward to it. I always do.
Yeah, it's always nice to just be with everybody that's all about it instead of having to be up there fighting against people who are not about it. But you do such a great job for us. You and Jamie both. Thank you so much for continuing on the battle. Even though you get smacked up and you get pushed around, but you're still riding high and you're still doing the thing. And we need that. So
We love that.
thank you.
Well, thank you. Tougher people have pushed on me and tougher people have smacked on Jamie before. You can't push us around.
Well, after like 14 years of this stuff and you kind of seeing what that really means, it's not as worrisome. And I said this recently too. I was on my Cannabis with Groovy and Canna Dave recording. It's going to be tomorrow at 4:20 that they air it. But I said there and maybe other places just recently that while it's true, there's a lot of division and stress and some people who don't like other people. And, I'm right there.
That's natural.
I know how that goes. When we have a real threat, when there's something that is actually, seriously causing some issues with our culture, with our community, with our movement, we stand shoulder to shoulder, and it's happened a lot. And we've been successful a lot. So I do feel good about that.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you
awesome.
for that, Toni. Appreciate it. In 9 and 10 and 11, when we were really pushing the envelope and with the Third Coast and Big Daddies and things like that, there was a lot of people that really didn't feel like that was the right thing for our community to do, and there was a lot of hostility at that point.
They treated us like we're treating the MCMA members now. That's kind of like the relative view that was going on. It was kind of strange for people.
Yeah.
Big corporate leaders or whatever.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the MCMA and then look at the organization, I mean, I'm thinking of how fast Tribe could get their stuff together and move from one location to another is like what the caregiver system is like. And that's got to be super frustrating for somebody who has to follow all of these rules and regulations.
How
and
easy
not
to make an
make
accidental
money.
mistake too.
So Chris Haider is in South Dakota and has has his card and everything now.
Congratulations!
Yeah, it is pretty cool when you feel like the weight's been lifted until you find out all the different devious ways the police are going to get around caring about the law and still arrest that people anyway. But until then.
Yeah.
Way to bust it. That's not fair.
Waiting for Michigan to not have smell be purpose to search and
it's not
justification for
run through somebody's Fourth Amendment rights.
Thank you, Rock and Jamie.
I love that. I'll take it. Rock.
Rick and Roll.
Rock and Jamie, great show.
Maybe I look like the Rock today.
Get it, Rock. Get it.
I'm sure that's it.
With that. There's nothing else on me that looks like that, man. I promise you. Nope.
So Shelly Smith might come on and talk a little bit more about Entheofest. She's going to be doing some stuff with some books and some things like that. So if she comes on, we will get to that. But there's some other stuff going on this weekend too. It's a very busy weekend.
Friday's a big day.
And let's see what we got here. Okay, give me a second. I'll find a Friday appropriate. Hopefully. Huh.
Yeah, we had Great Lakes
need a
Expungement over at the Pond Jam. We did a booth for them, and we put native cultivations products up and sold a bunch and made, I don't know, $100 for them. But the most important thing was all the people that we're talking about expungement and how to do it. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's often described, Ryan describes Great Lakes Expungement Network as, a full service expungement service, which is very important because knowing that you qualify for expungement is one thing, but being financially capable of being able to achieve it is another. Because the legislature didn't make it easy. You still have to do legal appeals, and it can run anywhere from $900 to $1,400 or $1,500. And the Great Lakes Expungement Network, if they accept someone, just covers that cost.
So and that's a very important thing. So the model is not strong in terms of just always being able to accommodate free expungements for everybody, including paying lawyers, getting fingerprints, doing background checks. There's a few things that cost. Sometimes it takes a couple runs at it. We'll get to this thing in a second. And
it's
really,
so intimidating that people won't take a step forward to even do it if they don't have somebody helping them.
Well said, Tony. It's so intimidating. You're absolutely right.
So Great Lakes Expungement Network has got a lot of applicants and not a lot of money. So that's we need to go the money side. But speaking of money, there's
Marc's being worked with on it.
Yeah, well, very cool. And we'll take your several $1,000 donation when the time comes.
When time comes, it'll be there.
I'm a good worker.
Yeah. Well, there's no question about that, man. You can do a lot of good work. We'll talk a little bit about that for the end of the show, but we're going to raise some money Friday night and help out a lot of the people who are still kind of stupidly in jail and get to meet their families too. And this is via the Michael Thompson Clemency Project. We had Michael McCurdy
That's awesome.
on last week, who's one of the directors with Marshall, and Rick is on the board, and he helped put this whole thing together at Vehicle City. Of course, Josh Kiesler's very supportive. And go ahead, Rick, let us know a little bit more what it's about. And
well, Michael Thompson Clemency Project is a project spearheaded by the man Michael Thompson, who was Michigan's longest serving nonviolent offender. 26 years he was down for cannabis. It's ridiculous. And when he got out on that snowy morning in January, Jamie and I and Ryan Basor were there, along with Marshall Clabeau and Mike McCurdy and others. We heard him say very clearly how he was going to be devoted towards helping those that were left behind, those that are still incarcerated, that have inhuman conditions that they have to suffer through. And so the Michael Thompson Clemency Project is designed to get some of those people out that have been victimized by what we like to call trap sentences, some of those things that are impossible to escape, that they don't let you have parole for. We're talking about people that have been in jail for 30 years, 40 years. The longest is 56 years in state prison. We need to end this. And the Michael Thompson Clemency Project will bring together the families of some of those people who have been incarcerated for a very long time and bring them together for the first time ever in one place where they can all share their stories, where they can network with each other, where they can draw strength from each other's successes and perhaps help out others who are not having successes. And in that way, perhaps make their lives a little bit easier, as well as spreading the word to the public about this insane problem that we have. But it's also a letter writing campaign too, to write letters requesting clemency to the governor and also to the parole board, requesting that some of these people be expedited in their release because of the suffering that they've gone through over all these decades of prisons. So it's a huge event at a venue that's amazing. Vehicle City Social Club. If you've never been in Flint, it is a one of the kind, its own in the nation. It's very unique. It's got its own kitchen, but in this particular instance, they also have a non-cannabis back half, which is a complete setup with its own parking lot and its own entrance. So we can have events like this where cannabis is not featured, and then also afterwards retire back to the cannabis-friendly Vehicle City Social Club itself on the other side of the building.
And that's medical. That caters to like registered patients and things like that. So
you have to have a medical card to access that building. Yes, that's true. Yep. But
everybody's been leaving their med cards.
There's a doctor available there,
Sorry.
and with the recommendation letter, you can get access to. So if you haven't gotten a card for a while, you can get one while you're there.
Yeah.
I strongly recommend that.
Yeah.
Me too.
It's a good idea. There's still good reasons to have the card, and no good reason to hurt that program at all, no matter how it ebbs and flows. But Shelly did come in and join us. We were talking a lot about Entheofest, and then we just got on the Michael Thompson fundraiser. So that's Friday night, and then of course Entheo is on Sunday. But you came on to discuss what you're going to do for that event, so we can get to that and accommodate your reason for being here.
Thanks for coming back.
I actually invite you all the time to come on to the show, and you had a link, and you still asked if you could come on.
I know. Well, sometimes there's a lot of guests, and I don't want to, and I know there's important things to get to, but I just wanted to. I'm giving away a lot of books. I gave away a lot of books last year, and it was really fun. I talked to so many people that day, and so yeah. Should I jump into it or no? Should I wait?
Well, you can jump into it. I do want to acknowledge something though. These families, some of these families were at the screening for the movie that Michael Thompson's been touring around the country with, and when they just named them off, and Rick's mentioned something about somebody being incarcerated for like 50 plus years. One of these families has got a family member who's been incarcerated for like 50 some years.
What's the name of the movie? I missed it right before I got on.
The Sentencing of Michael Thompson.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah.
Now that's a short that's only playing in festivals at this particular time. It's Oscar qualified, so it's possible that it'll get recognized later this year. So.
Man, and it's moving. It's just, if the barometer is that you get touched by humanity, then it should get some recognition.
I think that's true.
Yeah. So go ahead, Shell. Let us know about what you're doing with Entheofest this year.
Yeah, so I host a podcast called Reads and Weeds, and it's a cannabis-friendly book club. We've done about 88 episodes, and last year at Entheofest, I had a table, or I was at the Michigan Psychedelic Society table. You'll see a big sign that says Reads and Weeds, and Leonard Picard was there, who wrote Rose of Paracelsus, and he signed his books, and people just signed up all day for a raffle for books. So I picked 4 new books this year, and I have 3 sets of these. So,
and he was one of the big speakers there last year too.
He was one of the big speakers, and it's going to be amazing. And last year was so lovely, and it was so great, and I loved everybody I met. And I went and personally delivered every book that was within like an hour, and so I could meet everybody. And I mailed some books that were people who were from out of state. But I'm going to show you what I am giving away this year. The first one, Psilocybin Mushroom Companion, and this is a very
man, I'm joining this.
Yes, this is very like step by step. What to know, how to experience things. This is one of them. This one,
I
The
love it.
Psychedelic Explorer's Guide by James Fadiman, which was recommended to me by Julie Baron, who's the head of the
Libby.
You just missed her. She was on a few minutes before you.
Oh, she was. Oh my gosh. I just
Only
ran
for a short time.
in the door. So this one, here's the first 2. This one is called DMT, the Spirit Molecule. Right?
That's a big one.
These people are excited over here. Marc and Toni are.
Yay.
Yes. So these are beautiful.
How do you get these books? Or what are you doing with them?
Well, I'm gonna have a table at.
Okay. This is
And
what you're doing
you
there.
sign up, and I'm gonna do a drawing, and I have 3 sets of these. So
And does the person who wins get to come on your show and discuss it later on?
they can. Last year, they did not want to. It's a
Awesome.
lot. I mean, it's a lot. I've done so many shows on some psychedelic books, and Mike Williams, Mycophile, he and I have done. We did Mycophilia, which was about all kinds of mushrooms, not just psilocybin mushrooms, but he did a show where he picked his top five psychedelic books, and we like reviewed all 5 of those. This one is very much about growing. I really like it's very specific about growing and how to grow, very detailed, easy to read. Mushroom Bible, DMT Spirit Molecule, Psychedelic Explorer's Guide, and the Mushroom Companion.
So you have to show up and you have to go to the table.
You have to go to the table, meet me, and then fill out your name and email so that we can keep in touch with you. And last year it was great because it was all the people who were also interested in being part of the decrim movement. We're part of the raffle. So part of the name gathering for decrim was the book raffle last year, and we got hundreds of entries, and so we were so excited, and the people that got the books were so excited. So that's what I'm excited about doing. And you're right, I should pick one of these books and then do a show after. And also we made QR.
Hopefully the winner will join you at the
yeah. And also we made QR codes for each book, so that if you didn't win a book, if you just wanted to go buy it right now, but you don't really understand where to find books on psychedelics and things like that, these were sort of sourced by people who've read a lot of psychedelic books, and there's so much out there. These were considered some of the best ones, and so we'll also have QR codes that lead to a direct buy site if you don't want to just hope to win. If you want to go actually buy them, we did that last year.
If you don't want to go down to Barnes and Noble and hunt around and not find them, and then embarrassingly ask for something that you can't
right
get. So, sure.
but it should be really good. I'm excited about these books. I have them all stacked up, ready to go, and then we can have a nice chat about books if you want to do that. And I will not be selling mushrooms, which is what every single person asks at the table. But we're not allowed to do that on the DIAG at University of Michigan. But
some people will be likely though. But
we can't. But we're not supposed to. We're supposed to have information and activism and speakers, but we will not be selling the books. We will be, doing it.
The organizers frown on such activity too.
That's true. That's true.
And
please don't go to Entheofest and sell psychedelic substances. Please don't.
Yeah.
Trying to get this off the ground and don't need the setbacks that could possibly accompany that kind of thing.
There'll be
And
plenty
also,
of people that don't hear my voice will do it anyway.
and also people look out for each other while you're there.
Yeah, look out for each
other. Somebody's little in their head or whatever from this stuff and could use some support. Look out.
Yes.
Julie mentioned Dance Safe that'll have a booth there too, which will be able to help folks that are having odd experiences, and also make sure that what you're taking is safe. Go ahead, Shelly.
Oh, I was just gonna say, oh man, I can't remember. It was something about.
You got excited about people walking around that were affected that might need some help.
Oh, I was just gonna say, if you're excited and maybe on something before you come, then still make sure to print your name and email very clearly, because if you win, I want to be able to get a hold of you.
Right. Practice being able to write your name and email clearly.
Write your name and email clearly on the phone.
Having therapeutical sessions with.
We should really give Chris a round of applause at 420 for the very first legal 420 in his state. Was that South Dakota, Jamie? You said.
Yeah.
1 minute. He said
of his card from South Dakota on Messenger. So.
Yes.
My phones are all off because I'm, electromagnetic. So somebody tell me what the right time is.
it's 5:19 here, so
There it is.
Yeah, it's 5:19 here.
So it's almost 4:20 in the time zone. Obviously, the mountain or central. So good.
Yep. We're in the Eastern, and then Central's next over. That includes Chicago and all the rest of that.
So everybody in the other time zones, it's time.
Ready?
Go.
Oh, almost.
Almost waiting for it. We're gonna give you a round of applause, man.
We'll meet
Stuck with us, loyal Jazz Cabbage head.
We'll meet up the Corn Palace, Chris. I've been there before. It's in South Dakota.
Okay. I imagine there would be something called a Corn Palace.
The front of the
Right,
building
Yay! 27th time. Applaud.
All right.
Jamie, applaud, man. Come on.
South Dakota.
There, yay.
All right.
Yay, South
First legal 420 in South Dakota.
There's the Corn Wall and there's Wall Drugstore. Those are the two things, and along with Mount Rushmore that are in South Dakota.
I mean,
Two things.
And then there's driving
Based
forever
native,
when
yeah,
there's
right.
there's
Yeah.
like nothing off the side of nothing. I mean, maybe it's changed a little bit, but I doubt it. But beautiful
Jealousy
state,
from the people from the north, I guess. I don't know.
beautiful state.
No, but in this November, I think maybe half a dozen states, according to Marijuana Moment, are going to be voting potentially on cannabis legalization, whether it's for medical or for adult use. It's still a hugely turbulent time across the United States. We think we've got it pretty locked down here in MI, but you know what? It's not like this everywhere. There's a lot of people that come to our state because we have a better program than they have. So no
We've
matter
had
how much
Ethan
we
on.
about it,
Yeah.
it'll be
We've
great.
had Ethan Thampy on talking about Missouri, and there was just a challenge to that effort there that the courts struck down. So as far as we know right now, it moves forward on the ballot, and that's a really good one.
Shelly, tell people how they can get a hold of Reeds and Weeds, though, because your podcast is pretty unique and it's awesome. Very fun.
Thank you. At Reeds and Weeds, if you're on Instagram, just at READSANDWEEDS, Reeds and Weeds. And you can message me on Instagram. You can come visit me at Entheofest. I do have a Facebook page. It feeds from Instagram. So, but on all streaming platforms, Reeds and Weeds is on all streaming platforms. So if you listen to podcasts anywhere, Spotify, iTunes, whatever, it should be there.
And what time do you normally drop shows?
I took July off, but I've been doing twice a month for about 3 years. So it's not on a specific day, mainly because of my editing speed. But there should be one coming out tomorrow about the 30-day alcohol experiment. A friend recommended it to me. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it is, a woman, I think her name is Annie Grace. And have you guys heard of that book? 30-day alcohol experiment. It's just a different way to look at taking an abstinence break from alcohol, from like a mindfulness curiosity space, not from like you're an alcoholic going downhill space, but just from let's take 30 days and be mindful about alcohol. And it's very day by day, just here's something to consider. Here's something to consider about anything that you consume regularly. And I loved it because it was a woman. There was a little group of us before the pandemic, a group of women that used to get together in this little house that was very cannabis friendly in Ann Arbor, a little Airbnb. And we would have these little circles and talk about things. And it's interesting now that I think back on it, because it was before everything went totally, totally crazy legal in Michigan, but we all knew it was coming. It still felt small and personal at that time, I think, like 2019-ish, like about a year before legalization and everything. And or a year before rec, I guess, leading into that. And one of the women I met there at one of these little women's circles where we talked about honoring the plant, no matter what happened with the industry. We talked about keeping a relationship with the plant and not worrying so much, because everybody in the circle was sort of in the industry in some way. And we were kind of like, maybe I don't like that. Maybe I just like the plant and not really the industry. So I ran into her at an outdoor concert in Ann Arbor, and she recommended this book, which was very timely for me. Yeah, and I think it's great. So I'm hopefully going to edit that, and it'll be out hopefully tomorrow.
What's it called again?
Awesome.
It's called The 30-Day Experiment, and it's a book about thinking mindfully about alcohol for 30 days and just seeing how it goes. There's no judgment in it. It doesn't feel preachy. It feels like this might be worth looking at. And how do you feel about this? And why is it like that? When did you start believing that thing? So if it wasn't called if it wasn't focused on alcohol so much, I would say it's more of a mindfulness book. Just asking yourself, what is this behavior that I've just accepted as a habit for a long time? And I just found it really, for her sake, my guest, it was the end of an alcohol problem and the beginning of total freedom when she did it a few years ago. For me, it came months after, like back in April, I took a big long break from alcohol just to take a look at it myself. And I wasn't even really that much of a drinker, really. I just kind of was like, I want to take a look at this. Why do I keep doing this thing that I don't necessarily love? And it was a very good mindfulness exercise around that habit or any other, really, but especially if you've ever considered thinking about your drinking habit. It's really good.
Sounds awesome. Thank you.
There's an online community where you can talk about your experience. Included in the book, it encourages you to interact with the rest of the community. Just see how you're going through it. And I really like talking about that stuff with people.
Right on. So that the show's got so many topics that are cool because it's a book show, and they could be so varied. And I know that you and I have done some with the advanced law civilization.
Yeah.
Discussion.
Jamie's proud. Marc and Toni. Jamie wants me to tell you that one of the episodes that he was on is our highest episode.
Not where I was going. What I was going to say is that we have some room to do some more of those because
it's called Fingerprints of the Gods by Graham Hancock, and thousands of people listened to this episode. And then we did a follow-up to it called America Before, but Jamie was also on Smoke Signals. You were on that one.
That is such a cool one. If you want to have kind of an in-depth, broader view of history of cannabis, leading up to the last few years, to like when California got deep into it and some other states started coming on board and that kind of stuff. It gets pretty deep, and I learned some things from it. Very interesting. If the history is the deeper history is something that is of interest to you, that's a great one.
We did a cannabis for health book not too long ago with Cynthia Shelby Lane, who you guys might know. She's the doctor. She's a doctor that's kind of been in the scene. She's also a stand-up comic, but she's also an astronaut. And her whole life, the first book that she recommended to me, or that we read together on Reads and Weeds, was called, so I met her at a cannabis event, some sort of like Flint town hall. She was there. I was like, oh, don't I know you from comedy? And then I find out she's a doctor who does, writes medical prescriptions, and she's all in the scene and everything. And she's on boards that need experts to talk about cannabis. She told me all about how many times she's applied to NASA. And so I wanted to read this book called Packing for Mars by Mary Roach, I think is her name, who writes a lot of science books, but they're really funny. And the one, Packing for Mars, is about all the unusual things that you don't understand is necessary if you're going to be an astronaut. Like they used to think it was pilots, people who could fly, but then they started realizing it's people who can be by themselves or with one other person for 900 days straight and handle boredom and, all these things. And when we were doing that, when she told me a friend of hers was writing a Cannabis for Health book, when we did the Cannabis for Health book, she told me she applied to this astronaut program. So there is something going on in Florida right now that she's a part of. I don't know if it's she's literally been applying to be an astronaut for at least 20, 30 years. Like her first application was a written, mailed in application. And now she's in Florida working on a base, or you can follow her. Follow her at Cynthia Shelby Lane, MD. Look her up. She's doing astronaut things now. But she also does.
That's another like really cool, interesting thing. That the show's filled with stuff like that.
Yes, yes.
Really cool.
Nice.
And if you're listening and there's a book that you think everybody should know about and you don't hear enough people talking about it, then get at me, Shelly, at Reads and Weeds Instagram, and we'll read it. We'll talk about it. I've learned so much just because I'd never heard of Graham Hancock. Never heard of him. And I enjoyed those books. They blew my mind.
It's fun. Yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah.
At least, you can't really conclude, something from it, but you can start seeing where our existing, image of things or what's academically, taught about history has some holes in it. And it's kind of fun to look at that and discuss it.
So much.
A lot of holes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nothing about Native American history.
That's a huge problem. And so, this whole movement that's recently about trying to avoid the fact that racism is systemic and institutionalized and all the realities of,
right.
Yeah, critical race theory in schools.
Yeah.
People fighting it. They don't want their kids to think bad of their ancestors.
Yeah. Well,
Fingerprints
Fingerprints the Gods goes back thousands and thousands of years to little land formations, and like the concept of if an ancient civilization that reached the height of its intellect produced something that is left over, like the pyramids or huge stone statues,
megalithic structures,
megalithic structures that are almost like a call out from the past to say, like, we existed and here's evidence of us at the height of our intelligence. And also, we're not here anymore. So in my opinion, it's like, don't get so cocky. Don't think like, oh, we're sitting here with our iPhones that can do anything. It's like, well, they built megalithic extreme aqueduct structures that seem impossible, and our brains are trying to figure them out as if
we teach that they were chiseled with like a
like, oh, these must have been prehistoric people using this kind of labor. It's like maybe they were 10 times our size. We don't know what the hell we're talking about. We don't.
The cataclysmic event that was possible, getting basically banged in the poles with a meteor that's a mile long, and the ensuing cataclysmic events, it just wipes out what was there. So doing stone things was, if they were aware of how this is generally going down, they create these things that will be around even at, and that's why there's evidence of a lot of people living under the ground to avoid some of this stuff. And it's just really cool to think about.
Yeah,
you don't necessarily conclude that there was Atlantis, although you think that's kind of like not necessarily off the table when you realize that these things exist without explanation. And it's just really fun to consider.
Yeah, and on completely another note, the last release I did was about I have a friend that was a rockette, and she toured with Playboy's Girls of Rock and Roll. And that was a completely different type of reading experience, because that was about what it's like to be in a high intensity, world famous precision dance group, and like what that life is like and what it's like to be a dancer and travel the world and all that. Completely different topic, but so Marc and Toni, since I don't know if we've met before, basically I wanted crossover between open-mindedness, great conversations, and really the community that's built when you have a book club. You're already going to have a really good discussion. And if you're in a community with people who are passing a joint around, you're probably also going to have a really good discussion. So the crossover was easy to find.
Yeah.
And it's been a blast. We've probably done about 90 episodes, but 3 or 4 of them got either audio messed up or whatever. But I think there's about 88 published episodes. So
awesome.
Reading.
Congrats. That's very cool.
Yeah.
And some are non-advanced lost civilization discussions.
Yes. Yes.
Hmm.
Eric Von Danken, look him up. That's all I'm gonna say. He did all this in the 1970s.
But
So
these can be yours. Oh, so come to Entheofest and meet me there.
That sounds really good.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So great plug for Entheofest, man.
Yeah, it's so lovely. I remember last year there was a couple friends of mine who, their friends were in the band that was playing, so they were visiting. But the day before, they had been at this metal concert, which a lot of people find to be a great vibe. But they were just talking about it. Yesterday was this like energy, and then they came to Entheofest and they were like, "Gosh, everybody is in a really good mood.
Nobody wants to be mad.
Everybody's really chill. Nobody was like raging. We were having impassioned conversations, but everybody,
time and place for everything.
yeah, everybody was really chill, and it was just such a lovely vibe. It's supposed to be a nice hot day,
Yeah.
so it's gonna be good. Oh, it's gonna be lovely.
and being right on the campus of the University of Michigan means that there's always traffic running through. So Entheofest does a great job of spreading the message because people can get the vibe in just a 10 or 15 minute experience. They stopped on the way back to dorms, or they stopped on the way to the restaurant and just grooved for a bit and then just continued forward. So it really is a way to move the needle when it comes to social acceptance of entheogenic substances.
Yeah. Hi, John.
Hey, John.
John called me Rock earlier, by the way. Yeah. Just reminding everybody.
Slip of the finger.
Like 45 minutes ago for our listeners, but yeah, I needed a reminder about that.
Yeah, man.
Oh.
I miss y'all though. It's just been timing. I haven't been like dissing Jazz Cabbage. It's just been
For a
timing.
while, Shelly, you had a job at a mushroom farm, which looked really cool. And these are like commercial grade, huge
No,
mushrooms.
my boyfriend.
Oh yeah, but you had some monstrous.
You're at a outdoor garden harvest.
I'm not at the garden anymore. I'm doing something different now, but that farm is still there. I was working in an outdoor grow for a long time. But the mushrooms are still there. And you can order your own lion's mane kit. They'll ship it to you.
I went out to South Line where a lot of them are grown and bought a box of like just awesome mushrooms during
Isn't
the
that
COVID
where we
time.
got?
Yeah.
Did you guys go to Detroit Mushroom, South Lion?
Well, we went down south and bought a bunch of stuff for growing mushrooms, and then we ordered a bunch of stuff in the mail. So
Yes. So
We're talking about edible mushrooms.
yeah,
yeah.
that's what we were doing at first.
Okay. At first.
We're doing all kinds of little weird experiments in our house right now. Like, who knows what's going to become of all the things going in this room. So hopefully we're doing some of it right, which is how I found out about this book. I don't know. Do you guys know Harry? You know Harry. I think his last name is Pell. Is it Harry Pell? I'm sure you guys know Harry. Anyway,
I
he
don't know.
brought me this book.
From People's Choice, Harry?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay, yeah, for sure we know Harry. Yeah.
Harry, white hair,
Mhm.
right?
Super
White
cool
hair.
guy. Loves
Ron-
racing.
Ron Casey.
Super cool. But he gave me this first book, and then I ordered a couple more because I realized I wanted to keep. I was like, oh, this would be a great giveaway.
His daughter Rachel was at the Redemption fundraiser.
Yep. She's cool. She's so he turned me on to this particular book, and he was like, I'm never going to read this whole book, but if you read it and tell me what it's about, I'd really appreciate it.
Good move.
He knows I like to read. I'm like,
You
okay.
read it and then tell me when your show's on, when you guys are talking about it.
Yeah.
Listen.
I'll listen to them. I'll do the cliff notes. Yeah. Just show me what happens after you read it. So, and it turns out that it's so super good. It's very detailed. If you're looking for something like that.
Good
And
info.
you got to think, as many of these that are out there, like how can there be so many books like this out there and people not realize that it's legit movement. It's like
I think it is kind of realized what this movement's been able to do has been pretty remarkable.
Well, remember that people
Very
still
proud of
believe
them.
there's not enough science on cannabis, right? And we know about the
Mhm.
thousands and thousands of studies too. So when you want to not believe, it's easy to find reasons to not believe.
Right. It's true.
But that movement has been quite awesome, quite impressive to watch. I've been very
Multi-state.
proud
Yes.
of these people. Yeah.
Yep. And there was just an article in M Live about our friend Roger Mofert in the Jackson area trying to push the locals there to embrace a ordinance similar to what Ann Arbor passed to decriminalize or make the lowest law enforcement priority enforcement of laws against entheogenic substances. So the fight continues just on many fronts.
Yeah, he's got seed cellar, a lot of great seeds and genetics for cannabis, and
Very
daughter
first-
has JC3, a retail store in Jackson area.
Even before my medical marijuana radio show with Steve Green, there was Victor and Roger. They had the first that I knew about, the first one in Michigan, as far as a cannabis talk show podcast. We didn't even call them podcasting back then. It was just internet
radio.
Internet radio.
way back in the day. But yeah, he's been around for a long time and earned his stripes. Smart guy, also involved in Skunk Magazine. He's just a great dude. We have so many wonderful people.
I know. I'm so excited for Entheofest just to see everybody. I feel like it's been too long, too many.
It's going to be awesome, no matter what.
Yeah.
I
was just hoping it would be a lovely day, and it is supposed to be a lovely day. And all my books showed up, and I have all my stickers. So I'm ready. I need a clipboard.
I got so many stickers at Big Cloud. I'm excited to put those on my sticker wall.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll give you one. Mine is a cute QR code, so I'll give you one there.
Awesome.
As far as merchandising goes with the stickers, they are very popular. I represent Redemption Cannabis, and I go to different places, and I see literally hundreds of people that walk past my booth or talk to me every day. And the one thing that they gravitate towards, other than the cigarette lighters, stickers.
Right.
People are like, I don't need another T-shirt, but I'll take
the back of your laptop. That's what I'm doing. My back of my laptop is covered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when this laptop goes, it's going to be a bummer because it's covered with cool stickers.
The
Right.
Door Cannabis Council that leads in and out to the music room that they have there is just full of different stickers. And
Yeah.
really, stickers are an art form. I had a whole collection of stickers that imitated Alice in Wonderland characters, all burning down. They were the coolest things to look at. It was really amazing.
Oh, I love that.
That's a studio where that area that Rick talks about, the studio where Howard Stern once broadcasts for a little while.
Still smells like him too.
And then it was WDFN, the fan. It was the Detroit sports station for a while too. Down there.
Sure was. And on the night of legalization in 2018, we broadcast live with Tommy Chong right from there. Tommy
he had him on an iPad or a MacBook or something.
On a MacBook, yep. And we passed Tommy around to all the people that were in there and got to say hi and congratulations. It was it's fantastic.
Really cool.
Rob says he's got them all over my tent. That's amazing. Good deal.
Yes, it's fun. Easy way to represent.
And nowadays they're inexpensive to purchase and people love to have them. So it's a really good thing. I've got a big box of merchandise things from cannabis companies, yo-yos and wooden grinders that are just too cool to use and other things, sunglasses, but the stickers, man, the stickers.
Yeah.
I like a good grinder as swag, but like mine is a QR code, which I like because then you can just scan it. So if you put it anywhere, then you're also, it's cute for you, but it's also advertising for me.
I know people that love it. They just
thing.
find the QR codes out in the world and then just hit it just to see what it is. They don't really even pay attention to it, just to see.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm low key sticking mine all over Ypsilanti all the time.
Excellent. Nope.
Hey, Rick. Not to change the subject, but you brought up Redemption a minute ago.
Mm-hmm.
Are they doing anything in hemp with LSSU this
I don't
year?
believe Redemption is involved in the hemp industry at all.
at all. Aren't they doing any kind of projects with LSSU?
Not that I'm aware of.
I was trying to do something with Ryan, and I haven't emailed him since last term. But
I know he's with the jukebox. That was really occupying his attention until that event just finished up. And what a fun event it was. Now he might have more time to be able to address that too. So
yeah, that'd be awesome.
Had such a great time.
The Juke Joint.
Juke Joint Jamboree. I said Juke.
Yeah.
Box.
Juke Joint Jamboree.
Playing the cannabis.
Yep, good event. That was nice. Lath rocked it out. It's nice to see Jamie. Haven't seen her for a while. Darren McCarty came by. Got to hang with him a little bit. He's been great for this movement. It was just a lot of stuff. Danielle and Kyle and Greg Stone Depot all showed up.
Yep, they're wonderful people too. Josie Scoggin at the gate. Come on, that's the best welcome you could find.
Missy Jekyll and Becky Walters showed up too.
Becky was there. We talked about Becky for a long time at the table. It's a good time. That's the thing. Cannabis events don't all have to look the same. We had a wonderful time at the Michigan Cannabis Industry Association event, which was a couple of more formal days with presentations and things like that too, and it's stuff like a golf tournament. And then
it's always a good event.
Single day event like the Clemency party that we had out on Lake Michigan for just a couple of hours was really chill and low key. And the Redemption Jamboree that we just had as a fundraiser, how fantastic! A 200-year-old barn, it was amazing. Roy says it was great. It was.
He's like
so wonderful to loan
essentially facilitated it. Like he's.
Roy did.
Yeah, it was in Lanesburg where Local Roots is.
It was so great.
Wait a second.
What a fun time.
Where was that juke joint?
In the Liskey's barn. It's just in
Langsburg. There we go.
Yeah, we were gonna go to that, but we
Amy.
went.
Nice.
That's your new tattoo? What is
Yeah,
that?
let me see if I can show this here.
On your old man skin? Oh, that's not your skin. Okay.
On your old
There.
Are you trying to show
old
it?
man skin.
Oh,
All right.
Wow.
There it is.
Local root kit.
It's an OnlyFans show all of a sudden. Okay.
Whoop, everybody's gone.
No,
Sorry
so
for
let's
everybody's
keep it great.
engorgement from that.
No. Wow.
Becky,
Becky
cool
says
shirt.
Nice. Don't encourage him. Okay. He'll show you his pants next. So the fact is, it was a wonderful event, but $23,000 raised in a single night to help Redemption and the Redemption Foundation and the charities that we backed in. Oh,
Your check is in the mail, man.
Rearrange promotion here.
that's right. We need to get them on as a regular sponsor of the show. I'd love to be able to read their name at the beginning of every one of our shows as one of the sponsors.
Well, they qualify.
Certainly do. The people that we like. That's the qualification.
Yeah.
Assholes need not apply. Liskey's blame. So, but again, there's so many different events coming up. The Michael Thompson thing is more about sharing the stories of incarcerated. Entheofest is about celebrating, everything.
And we didn't. There's one more event, I guess. As time is running out, we should at least acknowledge because it is kind of cool, and I think you and I are both going to be there.
Yep.
The Goats of Cannabis. This is a licensed event, and Berner and Cheech Marin, and I don't even know some of these other people.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I'm not. Oh, I know Trick.
Yep.
Some of the scene here is not necessarily.
Cass County Fairgrounds. Okay.
In the window.
Red Man.
So, but anyway, cool enough. Cheech and company's cool with me, and there's going to be cannabis there, and that
Well,
works.
that's good enough reason to go.
Yeah.
Not too much
But
convincing.
Cheech is going to be there, so.
I've had a lot of interactions with Tommy Chung, but I've not actually ever met Cheech. So I'm looking forward to getting my duo.
They're improv guys.
Really good actor.
So when Captain Kirk moved down to Oklahoma, we covered it on here. Unfortunately, all of his stuff was stolen. It was in a trailer, still, yet to be unpacked. They got in late, just spent the night expecting to load in the next morning, and somebody ripped off the whole thing during the night. In
Who's trailer?
Captain Kirk.
Oh,
Kirk
shit.
Reed.
Kirk Reed. So in it was a ukulele signed by Cheech and Chong, and I told him I'll replace the ukulele because that sucks that happened, and I like ukuleles, and appreciated the fact that he got one. I forgot who gave it to him, but I remember him telling me about it, and he was happy. And, you know, it's just cool that he had that around to be able to have some fun with. And so I told him I'd replace it, and I ultimately did. I was going to replace it with one of mine, but I ended up being able to get one from Dave Burney, who's a luthier in Lansing area, whose daughter Sue has got Blooming Botanicals with Brian Madel. And,
I love them.
and Sue's brother and Dave's son is a well-known glass blower, the Ben Burney glass in Lansing. So got him one of those, and he appreciated it. And he was just recently able to have it signed by Cheech Marin. So he sent me pictures of that going down. And so he'll get
right. He was excellent. And Don Johnson was a second fiddle to Cheech, man. I love that show. When my kids were growing up, we watched Nash Bridges every time. I don't watch TV at all anymore, but when I was part of the network thing,
Cheech did a Disney departure thing for a while, and I think there was some tension with Chong, and they didn't really, hang and stuff. It's kind of cool that they've been touring together and hanging together the last couple of years.
Old age and financial need will do that to you.
Yeah.
But no, I love to see it. You're right. I love to see them together. And you also notice too, a lot of times you'll see them like this with no joint in their hand, just, making the symbol because they don't smoke it like they used to.
Those guys have done everything. I mean, especially Chong, everything you can do in cannabis, including being a drug war victim.
And being on Dancing with the Stars. Don't forget, Tommy Chung was on
Entertainment.
Really?
That's how.
Oh, right. You know what? I remember when we did the virtual hash bash in 2020, and he was there, and he talked about taking tango lessons.
It took him a while to turn the thing on. It's like I was actually on Skype. That's all.
Yes.
That one was.
Oh.
And
is that another one where the woman saved us? Because typically the man fumbles and then a woman walks in and it's fixed.
3 or 4 times that same day. The wife of the person being interviewed figured it out for him. Yeah.
Gail Whitty is another one that saves Dr. Mike Whitty all the time. Jamie's wife saved him once or twice.
We all have our roles. We have our roles.
Truth is truth, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I remember him talking about taking dance lessons. At that time with his wife.
His wife approached them first and kind of wanted to be involved, and that gave them the idea to see if Tommy wanted to do it. They thought that was the better idea, and he did. He was like 76 at the time, but he's still even in 82 or whatever he is now. He's in good shape.
Sure.
Check out their Instagram feed. Tommy Chung has a very active Instagram feed with the videos that he and his wife do all the time, talking about his son's dogs. He says, like, I'm a dog addict, but I don't have any dogs, so I have to invite my son over so he'll bring his dogs,
He was a musician signed to Motown at one point.
I know.
He's done a lot of stuff.
Such a varied story, but they do a very active feed. He and his wife are very funny. Very funny. So.
Yay. I will
Fun
follow
stuff.
them now.
So Goats of Cannabis on Saturday. So Entheofest Sunday, Goats of Cannabis Saturday, the Michael Thompson event on Friday. That's where all of you are going to be, except for
Wait,
you.
what's on Saturday?
The Goats of Cannabis, the event we've just been speaking
Oh,
about.
right. Okay, Cass
It's
County.
way in the southwest corner of the state.
Okay, yeah.
Where there's a lot of action, especially for these events.
That looks like an awesome event.
Yeah.
Cass County Fairgrounds.
I have to be there at 10:30 in the morning. I'm a judge, so I
How
have to
was
be
I
there.
not following Tommy Chung? This is great.
Xapolis, Michigan. Right? Xapolis.
Sopolis, yeah.
Cool.
This is a state licensed event, so I don't know who is. I think Doja is going to be there. If I'm not mistaken. I thought I saw some posting about that.
I saw the Palmatiers mentioning they would be there, so I'm assuming Doja's going to be involved, and that's good quality cannabis. So I'm excited about that. There's always plenty of cannabis at regulated market events, just same as the other. Just
And that's at the
longer
Juke
lines.
Jamboree. It was nice to have the 3-packs of the Mafia Funeral Redemption joints. That was quite cool.
That was nice.
Nice touch.
Well, And of course, the Liskies did a great job with the barn, with all of the dangling lights and everything else too. And it's really kind of out in the middle of the country, so you're driving country roads to get there. So you can. Everybody just let their hair down. And the harvest moon was up, by the way. So if you stayed there till close to the end, close till 10, the clouds split and the harvest moon and all the stars were out.
It was
quite a nice.
It was so
night.
pretty.
Lovely.
Yeah. Grassy Knoll, Selena Shananaquet. There's a plug for her. She's having an event this weekend too.
Talk about it. Go ahead.
That's why she can't come and work.
So Grassy Knoll is in Grand Rapids and Muskegon, and Selena is Toni and Marc's daughter. So,
so Grassy Knoll in Grand Rapids is strictly CBD store, and then the one in Muskegon is a provisioning center.
well, I didn't know that they were different. Actually,
Yeah.
I thought they were just both provisioning centers, but still very cool.
Yeah, and they have 5 acres next door that they're using for consumption events.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it's really cool.
Good time.
She's got some really great people coming out, just vendors that are artists, glass blowers, painters, and she's got massage therapists that she's got chakra readers. What else does she have? They have food trucks.
Groovy.
Everything.
Yeah,
Groovy. Love it.
What city is that?
Muskegon.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I just attended a thing similar to that at Lighten Up Provisioning Center last week. Their customer appreciation carnival. I played some games and threw some cornhole
Kyle
and stuff like that.
Cohee was also at the fundraiser helping out, contributing, and should mention him since you brought up Lighten Up.
Yep, Kyle and I spoke for a while I was at the event. It's just a good time to give back to the people. We talk about the difficulties that exist right now in the industry. A lot of it is because people have been focused on the wrong thing. They've been focused on taking profits and awarding CEOs a big share instead of focusing on the consumer, focusing on the people that got you there. So when you see these events that actually do respect the consumer, it just makes me smile. I just love it more. Those are people that get it. It's cool.
Yeah.
At Pond Jam, there was how many bands did Pond Jam have this time? Oh, it's just at least
25, 30.
Yeah, Pond Jam.
Oh, yeah.
Pond Jam was awesome time.
Sure, Les Older and Jack Elliott were involved.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be a regular.
Deborah Young and Dave and Deborah came.
I
and they
miss
hung out with them.
Deborah.
Yeah, we took a little bit of psilocybin and we freaking laughed our butts off.
That's good therapy.
For the night. Just a tiny bit, a microdose, really.
That's it.
But, yeah, that's all
That's all it takes for me.
But yeah, it was just a really funny thing. One of our friends had to run to the fire, and Dave thought that was incredibly funny. So I don't know. We just laughed about that all night. Just cry laughing. So funny.
I'm surprised that Dave actually took some.
I missed her.
I doubt that he did.
No, I don't think he did.
Yeah, he probably had a couple of beers.
Just as fun to watch us.
Yeah,
as it is to see us,
funny.
right?
Yeah.
Oh,
It was great seeing her. I hadn't seen her for a year, so since the last
Pond
time
Jam
you
is
guys
another
came up.
totally safe space out in the middle of cornfields and
and Archie gives a shit. He really helps people out. He cares about treating people with cancer. It's a huge part of his life. It drives him. He prides himself on having medicine available for those who need it. Just a good dude.
Yeah, it's just like in a big tote in it when you come in, just grab a joint, but you don't have a lot of people setting up their stands with like they did at Big Cloud. It's like it's more like a family kind of setting with the bands that come and play, and there's a lot of food, and they have one spot that you can get cannabis from, which is his spot. So that's perfect to me.
Yeah, Pond Jam is Archie Keel.
Yeah.
Well, this is
Archie and Tina.
This is a dude who helps a lot of people out, produces good medicine.
Great.
And Frankie. Can't do it
his own
without Frankie.
system for making the
We have a
oil.
whole crew up there that contrip to doing good things,
Yeah,
Similar to
this year they took it
normal.
over. They didn't. Archie didn't have to do anything but greet people.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So hey, we're winding down a little bit. Marc and Toni, is there anything you want to make sure you get in before the end of the show? And we really appreciate you guys hanging out, guest hosting with us, contributing today. It was cool.
You want to
Do it again
announce the
sometime?
Michigan Tribal Hemp and Cannabis Association?
You?
You.
No.
You want to? No, I don't want to talk. No, all right.
You guys are great. I love what you do. Keep up the good fight, and I love what you do.
Yeah, thanks for being part of coming out and helping us with the tribal ordinance that we had to look at, and we want to continue doing things like that. The Michigan Tribal Hemp and Cannabis Association is something that Marc has on his heart, and I know that you guys are here to help us with that. So, and we really like to see CRA invite people like ourselves to come to the meetings that they're having every month with the tribes. It seems like it's just a real quiet. Nobody's talking about it.
We'll have you
Nobody
guys
really
back
knows.
on, and we will talk about there is
Yeah.
legislation, there is discussions, that kind of stuff. We'll get people updated on that. That is some interesting stuff for sure. So thank you guys again. And
Also, we saw Amy Carter at that event too.
Absolutely, yeah. Yep, that was cool. Her and Latrish and Brian Bringold.
Who was that?
Latricia.
Who is that?
She was her campaign manager, taller woman. Shelly, I see you're waving at us because you have to go, Shelly, right?
I'm good now.
Shelly, give us any final words that you may have, if you have any.
Just it's good to be here and see you at Entheofest. Hopefully, please come introduce yourself or look me up on Reads and Weeds. Tell me what you like to read. Keep in touch. And
I'm gonna go on Reads and Weeds.
Yay!
See you there.
Good. Okay. We'll
come up with a book together that you guys want to do.
Yes. Let's do that. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Happy to. All
Sounds
right.
Good.
All
Thanks for being
Bye,
here.
y'all.
Right on.
Bye.
So, Rick, you want to wrap us up?
We've talked a lot about events today, things that just happened, things that are about to happen. That's all positive. The fact that people are willing to invest their time, their energy, and their effort into bringing folks together so that we can network better and enjoy and respect the plant the way that it's supposed to be. We become a much better community. Set the talk about industry aside and just talk about community. Events really are how community is identified and defined, and that it's a place where people can come together and repair old grievances, and where people can find new partners either in business or in life. We need to continue to do these and hit as many of those as you can, baby, because as I mentioned before, people in other states, they don't have this. And I think this might be a golden period where in the future, sometimes some of these events are more sanitized than the way that we're used to them right now. So enjoy it while we're in this golden time. That's my message.
I agree. So
let's try and keep the golden time as much as we can.
Yeah,
as long as we can.
Hey, let's not hand this thing over,
right.
Trying to shape it ourselves a little bit.
Surrender to over-regulation and police officers at every booth.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and those people with the provisioning centers, they need a handshake and a well done job too, because it's really hard to be a licensee, I think.
There's a lot of components to this and a lot of angles, and I agree. It's all under the same umbrella and same family ultimately. And those who are at least philosophically aligned. But thanks a lot for everybody for being on the show today, and everybody who's not here right now. Who are they? Jim and Julie. Is that it?
Yeah, Shelly was on.
Shelly, yes, everybody was on today. I really appreciate it. Great events, past and present. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks a lot.
Peace.
Love the plant.